Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings, and this is Zollin's opinion review of the new War of the Rohirrim trailer. We just got our first trailer drop, I'm recording this only about an hour after it's dropped, and hopefully you'll see it very quickly after that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, this helps you out. But we're going to review it today, my friends. We do a lot of Lord of the Rings fun stuff on this channel, and of course, as you know, I review many Lord of the Rings topics and things, and today I'm very excited to review this one. There are some, I've got a lot of hopes. There's a couple little worries here and there, but overall, I'm not worried about the animation style of the anime. So I'm very excited to look at this today. So I can't play it for copyright reasons. I'll link it in the description for you if you want to see the full trailer for yourself. Watch it once and then come watch the review. That's totally fine. Whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But anyway, again, I appreciate you stopping by either way here on Voice of the Rings. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you would. It helps me out tremendously. Leave a comment. What do you guys think of the new War of the Rohirrim and all these points? But I'm going to go by it frame by frame to an extent and talk about it. So as we know, they have rights to the Peter Jackson adaptations because this is Warner Brothers doing it. Obviously, Warner Brothers Pictures right here, as you can see. And they have rights to that. They've had a really famous anime person come in with directing. It says something about Peter Jackson in the description here, but I don't know how much Peter Jackson was actually involved in making this particular one. I'm sure maybe he had certain pointers and stuff, right? From what I know with that. But I've heard mainly the director is right here who's done it, and they do a lot of anime and Japanese things. There's some really good information here. Again, you can look at it in the link here for yourself if you'd like. But let's get straight into it. They show a shot of the classic, all right? The classic Lord of the Rings movie that we all love, right? Peter Jackson adaptations. We get a couple shots of them running through, and we get some cool music, which again, I can't play. I don't know if it's copyrighted. So we're not going to worry about that right now. And then as we go through, we get, again, Peter Jackson. They're really trying to push the fact that, they have the rights to that. And, maybe Peter Jackson did help this because it says Peter Jackson presents. So I guess he did. All right, and I double-checked. They were not officially involved. No, they were not. I just double-checked to make sure. So anyway, they say this basically, we know they have all the rights to the Peter Jackson trilogy, so which will be fun because it'll be tied in really well with the Lord of the Rings series, all right? So we get a shot of Eowyn, and basically what they're doing is right here is they're mirroring, right? They're mirroring what they're going to do. And then they go into a fantastic, I'm going to blow it up here a little bit, animation style. So a groundbreaking journey, right? And they suddenly, you could tell the map goes from that classic map we remember in the movies, right? And then we go into this beautiful, like art style that looks really good. I mean, look at how great that looks. It looks awesome. And then we get a couple more shots of them from the original, obviously, that they, right? Back to Middle Earth. Yes! Very excited. I'm excited about this, all right? I'm very excited. We get a shot of Aragorn opening the door, just some epic background music again. Another, through the eyes, all right? And then we see first part of the animation we see, okay? We see this eagle, right? Which looks pretty cool. I mean, apparently it's one of the giant eagles, but it's like kind of white with like the tips on its wings. And we get a first shot of the animation style for Helm's Deep, okay? So as we look at this, it's really cool. Like overall, I mean, that's pretty awesome. I really like that a lot. It's the more classic anime style. So some people, let's just dispel the one worry for a lot of people that the anime style, a lot of people are really worried about it being really, like, oh, I don't know if I want to see a Lord of the Rings adaptation with anime, because a lot of people have a stigma towards anime, and I understand that to an extent. I'm someone who, obviously, big Lord of the Rings fan. I do lore videos, all that kind of stuff. I love Lord of the Rings. We do everything Lord of the Rings here on this channel. Our goal is to have fun, and you're having fun, and I'm having fun, right? That's always our goal. But I find that with anime, I'm also someone who really likes anime. I like clean, the awesome anime that's just, there's some really good ones that you can really show emotions with the anime that other genres can't with even live action. So anyway, I think it's a beautiful shot. And then we got of legendary director, right? And we got a shot of some Rohirrim, I believe. and then Kenji Kamiyama, I believe I'm saying that right, the Japanese name. Yeah, very cool. Very cool that they got this person to do it. I know they've done some other stuff. Is a legendary director, so very excited to see how this turns out. Again, beautiful, cool shot with the anime. I just love that's the old-fashioned. Then we have Eowyn, which all Middle-earth knows the tales. I believe the voice actress who's doing this is actually our Eowyn, the actress who played in the Peter Jackson adaptation. Off the top of my head, I remember that right now. But, so basically we get a shot of some... These are not orcs, obviously, at Helm's Deep. I'm assuming they're the Dunlendings we're going to be dealing with, right? In the story, they're kind of the big enemy, and then the Haradrim, okay, of the War of the Ring. And then it says, but 200 years before that, and then we get a cool kind of the animation of the MUMAKILs kind of. It's kind of nice. I could really easily do frame by frame here to kind of look at things with you guys. For 200 years before that, right? And then we get this awesome shot again. I like the Riders of the Mark, Brothers of Rohan, and this person is doing a voice of, I believe it is Helm Hammerhand's voice, doing this voice if you're watching it later. And he is basically doing kind of the classic lines we hear Theoden say in the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, which always gives me goosebumps every single time. It never fails. It always gives me goosebumps. And then it goes back to Eowyn, and she says, there was an older tale, all right? And then we have, like, basically Edoras in flames, and some people with torches. I'm assuming the Dunlendings have put it to flame. You can see a little bit of animation there as I go through. We get another shot here of, not Theoden, excuse me. He's not alive yet, guys. This is 200 years before. Of the, I believe, Helm Hammerhand or one of his sergeant peoples of the Rohirrim talking to some other people. So anyway, actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Helm Hammerhand. This is his hammer, but he also has, don't worry, guys, they show in this, he does use his fists. Very excited about that. So let's just keep going through here. Yeah, just beautiful. I love the armor they're all wearing. It looks very much also, I'm wearing my Rohirrim armor myself. My Rohirrim hoodie armor. It's actually Theoden's armor on this. We also have Eomer's helmet right here. Got all ready for this video. Technically, we also have Theoden's helmet, but you can't see it. It's past the camera. And then, anyway, I do like the animation style a lot. They are correct to what the Rohirrim should look like, right? It's right to the books. That's wonderful. Of course, why do we doubt that when it's based off Peter Jackson and stuff? It would never be something I was worried about. But again, we get some cool shots of the animation. I'm kind of curious now. This is gorgeous. Look at this animation. So we have several art styles here. We have the sky, which is kind of like almost looks real, right? The way they did it with the art. And then you kind of have this drawn background of the building, and then you can see this foreground of the stone is slightly different than and how they did the art here. So your focus is kind of drawn to the front gate, but like you can still see everything, and like you could sort of see this watchtower, which is kind of the watchtower you see the guy do the bell in. Remember in the Peter Jackson, right, with the lightings of the beacons, and the one guy's like ringing the bell during the one thing. So that's pretty cool. And then we get another shot of this beautiful door, all right, inside. Again, the art style is very unique because it's like almost a realism anime right there, which is like kind of crazy. The door looks really, really real, but somehow it seamlessly fits in with the more anime-looking parts, which, like, see, look at the door, so like looks so good. And then you get a flash of them, which is the original picture that was released. Remember that I reviewed many months ago. And then here's the characters. Now, let's talk about it real quick with one thing, that was kind of a worry for some people. Kind of people were a little bit worried that, like, you know, maybe they'd end up making her, who normally, she isn't even named in the book, right? But we do know that they were insulting, right, to the king and to his daughter, and that's why all this happens, which we're we're going to see all that in this trailer. The trailer was really well done. It kind of gives you a little whole overview of the story, which I appreciate that the trailer does that. It kind of shows that they aren't going to be detouring from the main plot lines we're told about in the it's the appendices or the background story. But again, a lot of people were like, oh, is she just going to become the main character? I have a feeling they are going to be kind of making her the main character, as in we're going to be, as the viewers, looking through her eyes at things. But it seems like from this trailer that Helm Hammerhand is still going to be a main character, obviously. I don't know about the two. I think these are the two brothers, I believe, his two sons. Are they going to be major points in the... I don't know. From the trailer, it doesn't seem like it, but we'll see. Again, it's just a trailer. So we got some animation going on here. It's kind of cool to see past the picture we saw originally with a little bit more animation. His little eyes. So they're obviously a little bit angry about something. This is probably when... So it says, we've come with an offer to strengthen Rohan. This is the Dunlending chief, okay? Which, by the way, he looks great. What a great anime bad guy. He looks so bad guy material right there. Even though technically, right? And it seems like you could tell the people, if I get out of the way here for a second, in the background, they look a little worried. They're not, this guy doesn't look worried, but these guys look a little worried over here. Their faces in the bottom left. So we'll see with that. And then as we keep going through, all right, the story here, you can see a couple of shots, and then he says Hera, which, by the way, is the name they gave to Helm's daughter. I think it's very good they named her. It's important, right? We need to know kind of a little bit more about her, right? Because one thing we know a lot about Helm Hammerhand, but it kind of does jump for what we know about him, what he does. He gets angry that they insult his daughter. He fights him. We're going to see through this trailer. So you'll see as we go. I'll explain as we go. So I believe this is the son of the chieftain of the Dunlendings. Okay. Is I believe how you say that. And then Hera. So apparently something that I don't remember, that's not in the stories, is that there's something they are going to show in this trailer, that Hera knows the boy from being younger. Okay. So she like knew him or something. That's why I think she looks surprised here. That's my guess. And he says, I wolf. Oh, what a classic. What a classic. Sounds like a good name for a Dunlending thing, though. Seek your hand in marriage. All right. And so they're a little surprised that that's, and then of course, what a great expression. This is what any dad would do at that moment. What do you mean? What are you talking about? So Helm Hammerhand gets a little grumpy. You can tell. Very well animated here. Even with that slight, you only get like 4 frames compared to what we'll see in the movie. But you can tell he's like, like that's not okay with how they treated him. And then our fathers speak as if we were, it jumps to a different scene, okay? As if we were not in the same room. So basically, I think they were kind of like having a big conversation, right? The Dunlending chief and then the king of Rohan, right? Helm Hammerhand. And they start having this like argument, probably. Well, I guess we'll see, right? They skip that. This is a trailer, right? Not the whole thing. She says that basically, and this person's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be in here. He like sneaks out. I think that's what's going on. This guy's like, oh crap, I shouldn't be listening. Okay. And then our fathers speak as if I were not even in the room, she said. Again, I really like the animation. I like that she's dressed up as a shield made of classic Rohan, kind of like Eowyn is in the Lord of the Rings movies. Their clothing is perfect from my imagination. Also, he's super cool. He's very classic anime, all right? But he does look the part of what a Dunlending should probably look. So she says to him, this is her saying it, I do not want to marry you. Which I don't remember if she is the one that said that. I'm pretty sure Helm Hammerhand was more of the one that was angry at how they were rude to her. But I think what they do here is this is added in. I believe this is added in, and I don't think this is going to be a problem. I think this will be a good addition because he obviously looks a little, sad about it, right? The classic. And then they're following out, going down the stairs, which, by the way, if you notice, does the staircase look identical to the movies? It's pretty much, the animation is pretty identical to the movie. So we're going to feel very familiar, right? We're going to feel very, very familiar about, here, I'm going to put on this music instead. with the background of this story, which I think will be really, really good for us to kind of have a anchor point, especially for viewers who maybe don't know the lore as much as a lot of us do here watching, who are going to be just coming into this just watching the Peter Jackson movies and that's it. They're going to watch the animated series. This might be really, really nice in that manner. Then we get Helm, hammerhand. Helm says you do not seek an alliance, and he basically takes off his ring, which I think this is implying he is going to do a duel, right, with the Dunling chieftain, which is in the lore. That's following the lore. But I don't remember anything about the ring, but it's just kind of to show that he's like, let me not damage my ruling ring here. And he kind of has this cool look. And then, of course, here's the two brothers, right, I believe, his two sons. So, which obviously are a part of this, right? And he goes, you seek a throne, basically. And then basically they skip something that probably happens in the movie that we'll see. And it goes straight to the Dunlington chief, also now having all his garb off, right? His cloak, his fists are out. So they're having a fist fight, right? Like, he probably told him, let's have a duel, right? And this guy's probably like, you insult my honor, you know? So they have a duel, which is in the story, and he punches Helm in the face. Ow, right? And Helm just kind of takes it, like the Superman he is. Of course, he does get knocked back, and then he gets punched in the gut, and then this guy punches him again, and they're not looking too happy about what's happening. This kid looks terrified in the corner. Really, I like their expressions. Good expressions. I like how the son is like, yeah, I'm not worried about it. Now he looks a little more worried about it. And this guy's like, so Freka, which I believe again, oh, excuse me. That's not it quite yet. It's giving us something away too soon, the words. But basically, he says some insulting things probably to Helm. And Helm gets very mad, which is in the story. This is all accurate to the lore, and gives him just a whack, right? And this is what it says. This is really well done, what it shows us here. So what they're trying to show here in the trailer is that, guys, we followed the lore in this way, okay? And he goes flying, right? And then this guy is like, you will pay for that. Basically, he kills him. One punch to the face, right? Which is lore accurate. That's what he does. And he goes, he's dead, right? Right? And Helm's like, yeah, that's what happens when I punch people in the face. And he's like, you will pay for this with your life. And they're like, wait a second, is this how the One Punch Man anime series started? It was off Helm? I'm just kidding. So he's very angry, which obviously does end up causing a war in the lore. We know that. So then this holiday season, so it's coming out in December. We all know that. We get a shot of this. Again, I do not believe any of these are orcs. I believe they are Dunlendings with bone helms. Again, I think the animation style looks really, really cool. And then we get a flashback, and the boy I knew would never wish for war. And I believe it's her talking to this Dunlending kid. Now, this is gonna... Okay, so let's clear some stuff up real quick here, lore-wise. This is gonna be added in, okay? This is gonna be totally added in. And I'm not necessarily against it because there's a lot of missing points and we need some kind of backstory to make this feel like a story. And I knew they were going to have to do something to make it where it felt like a full story by itself because there's enough information to have a good story, but like to have a full-on movie, 2.5 hour movie, there's some stuff where it kind of would like skip and like, right. We had certain reasons why Helm did his things that he did, but there wasn't like full stuff. So I think they're adding this kind of as like extra thread to kind of tie a few things together, right? So she basically is talking like she used to know the kid, like she sparred with him when they were little or something. La la la. So, you know, is there a romance thing there? She obviously doesn't love him. She doesn't want to marry him. I don't know. Okay, I don't know where that's going. Now, one thing that immediately I noticed in the next part of the trailers, which I'll explain here in a moment, that I'm worried about slightly, but also not. Okay, so I'll explain. So he says, the boy you knew is gone, right? Classic line, right? He's evil now. So then we get some shots of them riding, and there's a MUMAKIL, right? Which again, the Dunlendings, I forget if they just hire MUMAKIL or if they get, you know, if they actually have the Haradrim come too. I believe the Haradrim actually join them to fight the Rohirrim because they don't like him. And then we get fire, which is the classic thing you see on the trailer opening here. And then, of course, the Dunleys are shooting arrows at people. And then you see her kind of up here standing, kind of classic, like Eowyn does in the movies. Again, there's a lot of parallels they're doing because Tolkien actually does a lot of parallels to the original Lord of the Rings with this story. And I think that's the point of why Tolkien wrote the other story, because it was kind of like, look, there's a parallel to, you know, the one now in the Lord of the Rings. So anyway, so there's a little bit better, lighter picture of it. Sorry. But yeah, it looks really nice. Go to this side for a second. Oh, except that's in the way. Yeah, it looks good to me. I really love that animation style. I think it's going to be really neat. I think it is going to be different, and I think some people will have to kind of get used to the animation style. Again, I'm a fan of anime. I'm a fan of this more classic look. This is a classic look of anime. It's less of like the 2020s and more of like 2010s, maybe a little earlier than that, this anime style. But it looks really good. So we'll keep going here. So after that, we get a shot of, again, her looking out. Obviously, the enemy army's coming. I believe that's what this is. There's so many of them, she says. You know, basically they're going to be attacked by an army of Dunlendings and probably Haradrim. We get a shot of probably a MUMAKIL, right? Blowing through this. Yeah, okay, MUMAKIL's blowing through the wall, which, again, that's why a lot of people heard about this and they were like, wait, MUMAKIL and Rohan? Right? Again, the animation style is very interesting. I feel like we have 3 different animations, okay? I use the term anime because anime is a very distinct type. I know a lot of people in the past are like, oh, cartoons, they're like cartoons. I mean, yeah, they're like cartoons, but it's a very distinct type of animation, right? It's like, you know, everyone knows there's like distinct types of animation where, like, you know, Cartoon Network, right, like SpongeBob and stuff, they all have kind of a unique look, right? Or like if you compared like Jimmy Neutron, you guys all remember Jimmy Neutron? Anyone? You could just look up Jimmy Neutron, you'll see a picture. But it had a very unique, different style of animation. Anime has several types, but there are very distinct. You kind of know, oh, that's anime style. The Avatar: The Last Airbender had a sort of anime style in certain ways, but also has some distinct cartoony style that was, right, or people were like, oh, it's kind of like the American anime style with Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it still has slightly different feel and look. So as we keep going through here, let's put on a little more background music here. We get a shot of her said, I pledge to fight for my king. So they are going to go with, we need to talk about this now. Clearly from this trailer, she is going to be kind of like a central character, okay? Some people are worried that it might go too far and Helm will be kind of overshadowed. Here's the thing. We only have certain parts of Helm Hammerhand and what he did. He punches the guy, right? And then later we know he takes his people to Helm's Deep. And then we know he goes out into the snow and he, you know, when they're besieged in Helm's Deep and he beats the living stuff out of all the Dunlendings, right? At night, and then comes back, right? And blows his horn. That will probably all be in the show. But we need to be able to have some medium in between what he does and what everyone else does, and it's at what degree do they make this character like a main character, and will the brothers have a role to play in the show as well? Because if they're going to make her, we look for her eyes, I'm assuming maybe they'll do that for a few characters, including the brothers, but clearly she's going to be a central character, especially since they added in that little mini story of her kind of knowing the Dunlending chieftain's son, who is now their enemy, and, you know, that's where I think I see where the story is going. I appreciate it that the trailer is showing us kind of like the full spectrum of what their goal is for the show, right? So then we get a couple of shots of her. We get her riding in on her horse, and these guys are like, oh wow, she's riding pretty fast. And then she comes in here again. I think she's awesome character. Like, I liked her voice acting. I'm curious if Eowyn, the actress who played in the Peter Jackson, is going to be doing her voice or not, or if it's a totally different voice. Guess we'll find out. I might be. All I know is she's narrating. That's all I know with the Eowyn voice actress. But for Hera here, again, I think I think she looks really cool. I think she's really well done. She's very anime, the way she looks. This guy is the little herald boy. She walks in. He says, "You know nothing of war," which is, I mean, it's the classic dad line because he doesn't want his daughter to fight, right? I mean, again, they're mirroring Theoden and Eomer with Eowyn, right? That's what's happening here. I think a lot of people are worried they're going to go overboard and they're going to make her, like, too powerful. Like, that she's just, like, this invincible fighter and she has no weaknesses. I am going to hold out the benefit of the doubt, and I don't think they're going to do that. I think she's going to be at about the same level as Eowyn we see in the books, where Eowyn is clearly a strong fighter and very impressive, right? Very unusual, right? Out of the ability to just be able to fight, like, you know, at a crazy level, right? And again, I'm not insulting any women out there at all with that, mind you, just pointing that out. But my own sister and stuff points stuff out to me. It's like, okay, that's not realistic when that girl does that, right? In shows and things. So, but at the same time, I think they'll make this a more, you know, the shield maidens of Rohan are like, Tolkien points that out, which is why I always laugh when people say Tolkien didn't put strong women in his books. Of course Tolkien did. Eowyn, Arwen even is strong. I know people are like, well, Arwen doesn't fight in the books really. Arwen does some pretty cool things. Galadriel, there's all these really strong, cool women, right? That are like pretty much like big characters, right? In the story. And obviously, you know, Tolkien had a lot of respect, right? For his family as well. So I think the goal here is for the writers is they're trying to make that parallel to what Eomer says and Theoden says to Eowyn, right? Because remember, he says to Eowyn, he knows nothing of war. And he's talking about Merry. Now, Merry, of course, is a guy, right? But he's a hobbit, right? But he's worried about the fact that, you know, he's also worried about his sister, right? And then we get that spot, in The Lord of the Rings, when Eomer finds her and thinks she's dead on the battlefield and realizes it's her. Oh my gosh. I cringe because I have a sister, in real life. Really respect my sister and my mom and all my family. But like, oh my gosh, every time he cries there, he's such a good actor, Eomer. I'm just like, my heart just wrenches. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that would be so horrible. You just won this battle. You think your sister's safe at home and you find her dead on the battlefield, right? Like, oh my gosh. I mean, that would be bad vice versa too, right? If you were the sister fighting, you find your brother dead on the battlefield. I'm sure it'd be horrible just as much, but you get my point, right? Moving on. So he says, you know nothing of war. And then obviously she's shown as writing her Hera. I'm the fastest writer you have. Hey, I believe it. All right. There's been some amazing fast writers. And my sister, actually, of all things, the reason I'm speaking this from a little bit of experience, my sister was an amazing equestrian rider and she did barrel racing and everything. So she's like insane with the horse, right? She destroyed me, right? I've ridden horses, but not on that level, right? So I could believe that, right? But they're obviously putting her in Hera more as a main character because Hera's not even named in the books. So they're obviously bringing her in, right? As a made-up name, as a character we know is in the story, but putting her in a more prominent role than we would have seen her in the book, right? So I think it'll be cool. Again, really cool. They show how fast she's riding. Then we get a shot of, hopefully I worded all that in a well-mannered way. I'm trying to get around the point that people are worried that she's going to be like a Mary Sue, right? I think that's the term, right? And that she'll be like this overpowered superhero, right? She's like Wonder Woman, right? By the way, Wonder Woman's awesome, but Wonder Woman has superpowers, right? She's not a normal human, right? Like this character, Hera's going to be a normal girl, right? But of course, we'll see how they portray that in the show. Or in the movie here, I should say movie. I'm in the boat that I think they're going to do a good job, especially after watching this trailer. The trailer actually gives me hope that it is going to be done in a respectful and good way. And we're obviously seeing the other family members. I do hope the brothers will be brought in a little bit. I feel like they're going to be more sideline characters because they're not really very important in the story that Tolkien wrote either. But then obviously we see them. She's horrified from something here. I'm going to just venture a guess. This is kind of a spoiler, so you could skip the next 5 seconds if you'd like. But Helm Hammerhand dies. Okay? So Helm Hammerhand dies. I have a feeling this may be her finding Helm Hammerhand frozen in the snow. Because we know in the story, Helm Hammerhand, one night, he doesn't come back from going out in the night when they're being besieged at Helm's Deep, killing the Dunlings barehanded. He'd come back over in the night, and he was kind of in like almost like a stupor, even though he wasn't drunk. He was just so angry all the, you know. And then basically one night he's killed so many of them, and he's just out there, and he's like just frozen, like standing up in the snow, and he died frozen standing up. I have a feeling maybe this is it, or she's worried about something with a war or something. But that's an assumption I'm making right now, but I think it's probably a good assumption. So that is another reason why I think they're making her the character we're seeing through her eyes and following her kind of where she goes, and then seeing what happens with Helm through her, because Helm dies. And I think that would be problematic for the end of the movie, right? It'd be like, and he froze to death. Roll the credits, right? I think they wanted to show the continuous into that the Rohan survives and that they move on, that kind of stuff, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So she's obviously looks sad. I'm assuming that's she found her dad frozen in the snow. That's my assumption. Then we see this bridge fall. I think this bridge may actually be a siege bridge that the Dunlings make at Helm's Deep. Now, why is she the only one here on the horse? That's a little weird to me. A little weird. Maybe it's just for dramatic flair, because again, we're seeing everything through her eyes. I have a feeling they're going to be using her as that person. There's also, is that a guy right there? Falling? What's up with this guy right here? He's like, ah! Did he fall? Was he on top of it? This is just a Dunlending guy was on top. He's like, wait, guys, roll! I don't know. Then we get a shot of her talking to this older lady, which people need hope, Hera. Is she just some older woman? Is she Hera's mom? Be a little weird to me that she has such dark hair and Hera's got red, bright hair. But I mean, maybe it's considering she's older now, you know what I'm saying? And her hair has gone dark, right? I don't know. It's anime. That's one thing. That's just me just making assumptions. I bet she's just kind of like a wise old friend or something. Then we see, here's where I think we might be straying from the story a little bit. We get a shot of one of the great eagles. So does she go get a great eagle for some reason? I'm not sure. Really beautiful shots. Something to believe in. Okay. Now here's where it's a little bit like, I'm not sure, okay, with the story. Something to believe in. Are they saying like she needs to be something for them to believe in? Because obviously they believe in Helm Hammerhand, but maybe this is like after Helm Hammerhand dies, and she's basically saying like, you and your brothers need to be something to believe in, or we need the eagle for something to believe in, or something. I don't know what they're gonna do here. This is probably tied in to make the story make sense near the end. That's my guess. This is all assumptions, guys. But you let me know your thoughts on it. What do you guys think? The eagle animation looks freaking amazing. That looks so cool. And it's obviously a giant eagle, right? And will it talk? Peter Jackson movies, right? They have eagles in them, but they never talk. And the ravens never talk either, right? Which clearly they all talk. That's something I always didn't really like about Peter Jackson adaptations. I really thought the creatures should have talked and made them really have epic voices or something. Will they do that in this? I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to do the classic, I'm an animal tamer. Let me just touch its nose like How to Train Your Dragon, and everything will be great. And it'll let me ride it around. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll stop memeing. But I think that's what's going to happen. Probably. Because the eagle, like, you know, the eagles... We are just, maybe they'll just that we know they're sentient kind of thing, that we knows I need help, that kind of thing. So obviously it kind of reaches out at her. And then we get a shot of her running from her life from a very crazily animated MUMAKIL, who makes it look really scary. And also, they're in a forest. What forest are they in? So I know that MUMAKIL come from the far south jungle in Harad. Does she travel all the way down there? Highly not likely. I bet you these are the forests somewhere near Rohan, or maybe in Athelion, or, you know, maybe she traveled down towards Gondor. We'll find that out, I guess, in the story. I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out. Again, she's like, oh my gosh, I like how she looks back, which is don't ever look back, just run for your life. Yeah, so it's obviously getting on her very quick. And Helm says, my pride. All right, so now we're hearing another voice. We're hearing the pride. He says, my pride. And then you see Helm kind of locked in a cage, I guess, and then reaching out to his daughter. I don't know what's going on here. I don't remember him being locked in a cage in the lore, but maybe he did get captured for a while. I don't 100% remember that, okay? So I'm not sure with that one. And then we get this. We have a Watcher octopus with a tree on its head. That's okay. So this is the first thing in the trailer that kind of made me go, what? What's happening? So then obviously its animation's pretty cool. It's like, rah, like reaches out really fast, and then it like grabs the MUMAKIL, and then my joy. Remember, he's saying my pride, my joy. Which, okay, now here's the thing. Before people go, oh, this is really silly, you know, they're making her, they're gonna make her in charge of everything. She's gonna be the hero that saves the day, and Helm isn't gonna be saving the day or being a good king, right? We don't know that yet. We have no idea. The trailer does not imply that. What I think is being implied here with my pride, my joy, he's saying that his daughter is doing a good job, right? Because any dad out there knows, right? And, you know, hopefully one day, God willing, I'll be a dad too. But the point is knowing that you have the pride for your children, whether they be a girl or a boy, right? You have so much pride and joy for your children, especially when they're doing, you know, a good job. But no matter what, you always care for them, right? And I teach a lot of kids, and you know what? I would always be there to protect those children no matter what. So I can understand that to an extent. Not quite yet, obviously. But I can understand the sentiment that a father would have in that way. So that's pretty cool. So I think that's a neat thing. So the Watcher reaches out and grabs the MUMAKIL. There's kind of another shot from up high, which is crazy. So is this thing kind of like implying that I have this strange feeling that maybe she does go to the jungles in the south of Harad? And that was just a wild MUMAKIL coming after her because they're pretty aggressive, right? Just like real elephants can be aggressive too. And then this is just like a wild creature that lives in the swamps. And maybe they're implying that's what Sauron corrupted or whatever and put by, or Sauron didn't put it there, but someone put it there by the gates of Moria later, right? Like it's the same kind of creature in Middle-earth. Because obviously it looks a lot like the creature we see in the movies, Peter Jackson movie, because they have the rights to those creatures, right? How they made the Watcher look. So that's my guess. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear some of your guesses in the comments as well. We're almost done though here. We're almost getting to the ends. Then he says, beyond doubt. All right, we get a shot of, I think, Dunlendings. You could rule the world. I have a gist that, is this talking to her that she could rule the world? I have a feeling this is probably the Dunlending son or something. Forget who does the voice right here, but that says it. Let's see. Here, let's see. Can we just like hear the voice?
You could rule the world.
All right, so I think it actually is Helm saying that. So it makes me a little worried with that wording. I think it's just because it's epic, and maybe he's just, again, being the pride of like saying, you're doing a good job, my daughter. You know, you could rule after me, right? Or something. Obviously, I don't think she gets one of the brothers do, unless they both die. Do they both die in the original story? I don't remember. But basically, I think he's encouraging her. That's my guess. Will it make it where it ends up making her like a pivotal center character? Well, a lot of these last shots make it seem like we kind of go on an adventure with her. So again, hopefully it's like, I don't mind having her as the main character, but hopefully they don't make it where it becomes like an extreme level of that. I really don't think they're going to. I really think they're going to stick to the main lore, and then whatever they have gaps for the other parts, you know, that extra. Because realistically, if you made a movie out of the information we have at Helm Hammerhand, it's a lot, but it would probably only be like a 30-40 minute movie, right? Since the movie's gonna be over 2 hours, we'll probably have some adventures with her, seeing parts of Middle-earth and seeing it through her eyes, and whatever they make the reason that she has to do this little adventure. I don't know. I I do find some funny similarities to this moment here, climbing the ice and kind of like, how do I say it? I'm going to say it. I'm just going to give you guys raw what I'm thinking, to an extent here. It's kind of like the Galadriel and Rings of Power moment here on Amazon series, climbing the ice. But you have to remember, there is factual times in Tolkien's lore where people were climbing glaciers and ice spots and traveling, like the elves travel over the ice bridge up in the north. That's way in the past, though. That's not here in the Third Age. But what is she going to find? Is she trying to find the eagle? Maybe that's what she's climbing up this big ice wall. That would make sense. I kind of have this little funny feeling that the New Line Cinema or Warner Brothers Studio are trying to kind of compete with the Amazon series. So maybe they're like, look, we're gonna make a character that's actually cool that way and not stuck up, right? I don't know. I'm not sure. And again, I don't want to beat on the other series too much, but I do have a feeling that there's a competition going on here, especially since they announced this right after the Rings of Power announced season 2 with Amazon, and then they were like, oh, this comes out in December, right after Rings of Power season 2 finishes in August here. We'll see all that, right? Again, I'm reviewing all of them. Definitely gonna review this one. I still have high hopes for this one, and I will give you guys my opinions. Now, again, I'm someone who I like a strong female character, but I like a real strong female character. And I think you all know what I mean by that. I am very pro women. I think women are awesome, right? I think men are awesome. I think we're equal, right? I think there's some areas that we're not equal with certain things, with strength and stuff, right? Just being biologically, but speaking. But my point is, I really have a lot of respect for women, but I like to see, including my mom and sister, right? Because I'm using a lot of information, right, that my mom and sister always tell me. Just since, I wouldn't be able to put my shoes entirely. I can't put my feet entirely in women's shoes because I'm a guy. But I have a mom and sister who I highly respect. And just the fact that if they do the character right, it could be really, really awesome, right? And so I'm not against having this character where we look through her eyes as we see the world. I think it'll be really cool in that way. It's just how they do it. It's how they do it. You all know what I'm saying. It's how they do it. And is it respectful, right? Is it respectful to Helm Hammerhand? Is it respectful to the original Tolkien lore? And is it respectful really to women, right? Because if it's an unrealistic character who's doing things that are just insane, it's really not kind to women either when you do that. When you make it like a Mary Sue character that's just invincible no matter what, has no hardships. They're showing in this trailer that she's going to have hardships that she's going to have to overcome. And that gives me hope that it'll be a really cool character. All right, the Hera will be awesome. So, moving on. I'm sorry, I kind of went into like a full thing there. Hopefully you guys like that. But so anyway, there we go. There's some fire there. And she's helping, she's fighting the Dunlendings, right? So we're getting a couple shots of her fighting. Oh, and her brother's right behind her. Oh, look at that. So maybe they're going to be like a little fellowship kind of thing. So that's your brother right there, the younger son of Helm. That makes me very happy to see that. It'll be really cool to see the brothers and sister dynamic with the three of them. I really hope that is in the show because, again, I have a sister and I'm a brother and I would protect her with my life and vice versa, right? So it's neat. It'll be neat to see that dynamic, right? With like protecting your family, protecting those you care about. That'll be cool. All right. So anyway, let's keep going through here. So it says some cool shots in the animations there. Beyond despair, right? And then we have going on. We get her blowing in the horn. I'm assuming this is supposed to be the horn of Helm Hammerhand, right? Or maybe it's just a Rohirrim horn. I don't know. I'm just guessing though, because we know he blew this horn every time he went to the thing. Maybe she's blowing this at his funeral? At the end of the movie? Maybe that's what this is? I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. I can show that little 2 seconds of sound. It won't do anything. Then we get a shot of, I believe, are these Rohirrim? You think I'm afraid of you. I think this is her talking. And I'm assuming she's probably talking, which is awesome. Which is such a thing as Shield Man of Rohan would say, mind you. Just like Eowyn kind of said. You know, she's like, She clearly was scared of the Witch King, right? The actress is so good in the Lord of the Rings movies. She's clearly scared of the Witch King, but she's also standing her ground, right? And then, of course, she obviously wouldn't have been able to beat him without Merry's help, but they beat the Witch King together, which is pretty insane. Pretty cool. We get a shot of her. I don't know why she's in a white gown. Maybe it's because she's a shield maiden, and they're going with that whole, like, you know, dressing up for a combat in her, you know, because she's a shield maiden. I think realistically, you probably still dress up with armor, but it might be epic for the movie. It might just be a cinematic thing. So that's kind of cool. And then it says, lies true courage, right? Yeah, so she does actually have some armor underneath, but I feel like probably a little more armor than that would be realistic. So, that's a little negative for me. But she looks like she's fighting the boy, which might be a parallel to when she dueled him as a child that they added in as a made-up thing. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Again, I think she's gonna be cool. Is she doing her tongue out of her mouth? Is she going like, oh? That's what it looks like in the animation. But oh, that's cool. Now, it's a side. What's going on with the sword play there? Side strike. Shield back. All right, so this is very anime animation, but there's some choreography things here when it comes to real swordsmanship that I'm not really a fan of. I can break that down in another video once we maybe have the series out and we watch it. I could break that down for you then when I can see the whole fight, not just a little split second of it in the trailer. But usually you don't have your shield behind you when you're fighting someone with a sword and shield. The shield usually always stays where it could be a secondary thing to block or bash with. You really don't swing your shield behind you. But anyway, minor thing. It looks really cool for the animation. Okay, sorry. I'm a big fan of like sword play too and stuff. So all the swords behind me. So then we get a cool shot. Yeah, he is fighting him. Fighting the old boy, which is basically, you know. So that's how they're showing the conflict between these two. So I bet you Helm has already died and this is later, or maybe this is before Helm dies. I'm not sure. Maybe Helm's fighting somewhere else on the battlefield. Not entirely sure. I don't know why he's using a little dagger. Again, his arms flailing out, very anime style with like all the big movements because it looks really good on screen, right? I like his face here. Really cool. So we get a couple more shots. He jumps down. So he's obviously changed. He's older here, so time's gone by. You can tell. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here with this dress though. I'm sorry. That's too much. Should be armored still. I get the whole shield maiden thing, but it seems a little far there. Little bit of maybe the anime director influence there, a little much on that, but that's okay. We'll see. I need to see the whole show for that to be sure. Then we see another shot of them fighting when they were on the horses. Man, so there's a lot of duels, which is kind of cool. I'm hoping there's a lot of fighting. And then we get You Should Be. And again, this shot looks cool though. I love her sword. Look at the sword real quick. If we look at the sword over there on that side, you can see what is this attached to her finger from her dress? What's going on here? This drape thing? I don't know what's going on there. That's kind of weird if that is. It's like, why? Anyway, but gauntlets look cool and the sword looks awesome. That sword looks fantastic. Sorry, I'm just thinking of realism. You remember Edma Mode in Incredibles and she's like, no capes! I mean, this is like worse than a cape. The cape is like attached to your hand for sword. Okay, sorry, where we got? She says, you should be, or no, he says you should be. That's what she said. I'm not afraid of you. You should be, right? And then, okay, that is more like armor. Now, again, it's not really a lot of armor, and it's kind of like that leather armor, which, yeah, okay. I'm not gonna keep going into all these fighting and medieval things. But moving on, I mean, this is cool. This is more like what I would assume she'd be wearing all the time. And then she grabs the spear, and she's being chased by a MUMAKIL, which looks like he's got some bad gashes in his poor side. Also, again, it's very interesting. I'm curious to see this animation. One thing I find funny here is he's animated insanely well in the background, but is her eyes just two little dots? I don't know. It seems like I guess, I mean, it's just that anime style, I think, too. And then it says the Lord of the Rings, right? And then it's got the boom, boom, boom. And then it's got this really cool animation at the end here of the War of the Rohirrim symbol that comes onto it. There it is. And there we have it, my friends. There's my breakdown review. There's a little bit more here at the end. Some guy with a ring. And it says ROT, rot. What does Mordor want with rings? And then it says, and then there's a ton of rings here. And then it's like an orcish goblin voice. And I thought for a second maybe it's and then we got some stuff here, right? In theaters, Christmas, December, woohoo, yeah. I thought maybe maybe it's Gollum, but I was like, nah, he wouldn't have all these rings, right? I think it's like some orc or goblin collecting rings, thinking he's gonna get a bounty from Mordor. That's my guess. All right, that's my guess on that one. But anyway, my friends, what do you think? Thank you so much for joining me in this episode today of a review. Go check it out for yourself. Link is in the description. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you would. We have tons of fun here in Lord of the Rings. I will be reviewing War of the Rohirrim in full when it comes out, and we'll have a blast. And maybe we'll get some games after it comes out. That'd be cool. Some little computer games or whatever games. Maybe, you know, that'd be cool. Thanks to my Patrons for their support. If you want to go mub me on supporting that way, sweet, get some extra bonuses. But if not, liking and subscribing is free. Subscribe button's there. Next episode will be over there. Over there is another playlist where I do voiceovers in Lord of the Rings Online, hence Voice of the Rings. But I also want to be a voice for Tolkien and review things, whether they are good or bad. And in this case, I have high hope for the War of the Rohirrim. What do you guys think? Do you think that she will be a very cool character? Do you think she'll be overpowered as a character? I feel like they're probably, from the trailer, going to balance her well, and our goal will be that we'll be seeing through the eyes of her. That's my thing, because we'll still see Helm hammerhand in all his glory, but he does die, right? And again, I know that's kind of a spoiler, but most people know the story who's going to watch this series. I guess not everybody. Warning. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you, but yeah. A little too late for that. All right, see you guys. I'm sorry if I did spoil it for someone. But again, it should be a really fun show, and links down there to things as well. Stay happy, my friends, and I'll see you all in the next episodes of Voice of the Rings. Baruch Hazard Kuzar, I menu. I'm at your service and your families. Zollin Ironshield out. See you guys.